Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you my tips and tricks for wearing a dark bold lip. These darker, bolder lips are definitely super in for the fall time, so I figured it would be an opportune moment to make a tutorial like this. So like right now I'm wearing Night Moth with Cyber, which are both by MAC, so it's a really dark purple vampy color. And I paired it with this more of a lighter eye. I know I pair dark eyes, dark lips quite frequently because it's definitely much more up my alley. But I'm going to link to this eyeshadow tutorial so you can kind of see a maybe easier way to kind of transition into wearing darker, bolder lips if that's what you're into. So you can always follow along with that tutorial as well, just if you to kind of find where you're comfortable with. So if you'd like to see my tips and tricks on wearing dark, bold lips, then just keep watching. So we're starting. I don't have any blush on. I do have my eye look done, and I do have highlight and contour. As you can see, I am kind of glowy. So we're gonna start from here just so you can see the difference. So let's get started. So the first thing I recommend would be using some type of lip primer and make sure that you're prepping your lips. So my lips already have a little bit of chapstick on. I always, when I sit down to put on my makeup, I put on some type of hydration something. I use Vaseline Lip Therapy Advanced. Quite a few different lip glosses that kind of just lay around the house if I'm not wearing lipstick. I try to keep my lips hydrated as well as staying hydrated myself, since it's going to keep my lips looking nicer. When wearing a bold lip, you do want your lips to be pretty good shape. When I got out of the shower, I used a little bit of a sugar lip scrub, so we are pretty well prepped. And then I just used a Q-tip right there to kind of wipe off the excess chapstick I had on and a little bit of makeup. So I'm going to start with MAC Prep and Prime. This is the lip primer I've used for the longest, but there's lots of good ones out there. I like the Bite one, and if you want like a drugstore option, the NYX one is actually really nice. That's the one I like leave in my purse, because this one will get a little bit melty and it's really hot in Utah in the summers. But that one's a little more waxy, so especially if you have a hard time keeping your lipsticks on, try the NYX one. Alright, so one of the biggest things, prime your lips because you want your lips to look nice. Or at least use chapsticks so that your lips aren't super dry. But the biggest thing I think about wearing a bold lip is making sure you have a clean line. So I'm actually going to use a lip liner. I'm not that old, I'm 24, but I do have some fine lines just on the top of my lips. So I'm going to go with a clear lip liner just along my top lip line, because that's where I get bleeding. I'm using the 24/7 Glide On Pencil by Urban Decay and Ozone. Lots of brands make clear lip liners. And other thing is that we want a really sharp, clean line, so I'm actually going to go in with a lip liner before I apply any like lipstick or color. So I'm using Night Moth by MAC. And I start out making an X at the top. I do have a tutorial on like how to apply lipstick, so you can always check that out. I'll link that somewhere up here and in the down box. Alright, as you can see, it looks like a sloppy mess, but that's okay. We're going to clean this up. So when wearing dark lip colors, so if your bold lip is like a bright, this doesn't necessarily apply to you, but since we're going to fall, I figured my bold lip choice would be dark. I like to actually pull the lip liner in quite a bit, because sometimes those darker, especially the darker purples, not as much as darker reds, have a really hard time sticking. And so I'll just smooth that out with a lip brush. Okay, so now we got kind of our base going on. I was trying to decide between Cyber and Train Blue, because these are both like some of the darkest I have that aren't black. Because black lips, I figured less people are going to wear. And let's see. We're going to go with Cyber because it's darker. So what I do with all lipsticks, I first just apply it out of the bullet. because I don't like to go in with a brush for the whole thing because that just takes way too long and I don't got time for that. So as you can see out of the bullet, I don't go to my lip line because, again, we actually do want that to be clean because it is a bold lip. So I just apply as much as I can without, like, messing it up. So now I'm going to load up my lip brush. I'm just using a Sigma lip brush. This is, what even is this? An L05. And I'm going to just start basically doing the same thing when I lined my lips. So I'm just taking it to the very edge. When you get to the corners, you really want to make sure that you do hit them because you do have a bold lip. As you can see, that looks a little bit sloppy, but if you just open your mouth and pull that down, you're going to get a lot of a cleaner line where your mouth closes. And again, this bold lip business is all about just making it look clean. Alright, so now I'm liking the shape that I've got going. I did slightly overdraw my lips because that's pretty much what I always do. So now you can see I made it a little bit sloppy, just so you guys can see how I clean it up. So you kind of, there's two different brushes I really like for this. Either this, like, I'm dropping everything. So the two brushes I like is either just this e.l.f. This is their concealer brush. This works great as a lip brush and a cleanup brush. This is what I keep in my purse because I don't care if I ruin it because it was $1. And then the Sigma Line Perfector. This actually came out with their Stand Out Eyes collection, but I really just use it on my lips most of the time. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use a little bit of concealer. I'm using the NARS, this isn't the Radiant Creamy, I don't even know what this calls. This is just the NARS concealer, and I'm using Chantilly, and I've just applied some to the back of my hand, and I'm going to pick up from there. And this is just being my base to kind of steady my hand, and this is what I'm going to do, and then I'm just going to pull. Right along. And then I have a cleaner lip line. I'll wipe off if I got any product on a bare part of my hand and then take more concealer. Alright, so the last thing you want to do is make sure you don't have any on your teeth. And you can, like, stick your finger in your mouth and pull it out, and then it will take off anything that's around your lips. So you can, at this point, you can blot it if you want, just to get those more long wearing. Again, a tutorial for that if you want to kind of see how to make your lips wear longer. That's probably best explained in my red lip tutorial. So since this is mostly about, like, dark bold lips, you can see this kind of washes me out because I don't have any color on my cheeks. I'm also very fair, so just because you're fair, don't let them tell you you can't wear dark lips. So I'm going to show you a couple different kind of blush options that you could pair with something like this. This is the dark purple versus the dark red. So Warm Soul is something, this is going to be opposite because I have a cool color here. So I like to kind of break my cools up and use something warm. If I wanted to go more triadic, I could go up with something a little more warm but also peach. Or if I wanted to go with something that just kind of complements it, I could go with something like Desert Rose. I'm going to choose Warm Soul because I really like that, and I like to break up my, I don't like an overly cool look. Just like I don't always care for an normally warm look. I usually like to pick the opposite for my blush. I have a blog post on color theory if you're kind of more interested in those, like, differences between warm and cool. I do have a blog post about that if you're interested. I'm trying to make it into a video, but I'm having a really hard time because I just don't really know what I'm going to do. So that'll be coming one day. So in the meanwhile, you can go for my blog post. And as you can see, just adding that little bit of blush makes a huge difference. Like, I look a lot more alive and it doesn't look quite so, I guess, stark, if that makes sense. So that's a really easy way that if you're like, oh my gosh, it's way too dark, pair it with a nuder eye like this. I'll link to my tutorial for this eye look. And then make sure that you're wearing a blush. Don't skimp on your blush. And I think it's just a really easy way to wear a bold dark lip. That's all I have to say about how to wear, like, a bold dark lip. So first thing would be make sure your lips are prepped well so that they're clean, there's not a lot of dry skin, If you're having like really chapped lips, you might want to just leave it for another day. 2, make sure that your lines are clean. That's like the biggest thing with a bold lip, is it can look sloppy because it is so dark or so bright depending on what your bold lip is. So make sure that your lines are clean, just so that you look it looks like purposeful. You're not like got purple somewhere else on your face. And then number 3 is, if you feel like it's washing you out, add some blush. Blush is a really easy way that if you're like, whoa, way too much, then just add blush and leaving it out. I like to pull dark lips with dark eyes, as you can see in many other tutorials, but you can always pair it with something like this, which is a really just simple eye look. Especially if you're a beginner to bold lips, I'd recommend something like this. So I hope that was helpful. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Follow me on my other forms of social media. That's at the end of the video and in the down box below. And I'll see you guys then soon.